5 days left before the federal government runs out of money, and the White House is getting ready, threatening mass layoffs if Democrats don't pass the GOP-supported continuing resolution. Joining us now, Punchbowl co-founder and MSNBC political analyst Jake Sherman. They're really trying to leverage their position at the White House.
Big time. They're trying to make it very uncomfortable, Katie, for House and Senate Democrats. House and Senate Democrats, and we had Hakeem Jeffries on Flyout Day, our show, which is on YouTube tonight, Katie. So I know you and Tony will be watching this very carefully.
Raptly.
Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries said, listen, they've been shutting down the government all year. They've been firing people all year, was his basic message. And they're trying to use this to scare us, but we're not going to be scared. And you kind of said the basic argument well, which is Republicans have passed a clean CR. For the first time in a long time, a clean CR is actually, in this case, a clean CR. No extraneous provisions. Democrats want to load up a bunch of health care provisions, rolling back a bunch of cuts that the Trump administration and the Republican Congress made on a 7-week CR, a 7-week funding bill. And Republicans have rejected that. And both sides, if you are watching this and saying, well, they'll solve this, this is all just huffing and puffing. Well, maybe so, but it doesn't seem like that at this point. Both sides are pretty comfortable in their negotiating position at this point, which is they're not going to bend, they're not going to fold. And it's Thursday. The House doesn't even come back to town, Katie, until October 1st, when the government is already shutting down. So this is going to be, very, very high stakes.
I was listening to the Majority Leader, John Thune, yesterday talk about a Democratic demand that he says would cut rural health care. Can you help me understand what the Democrats are asking for and why the Republicans are framing it as a cut to that health care?
He's basically suggesting that rolling back provisions of the one big beautiful bill, that reconciliation package that Republicans passed a couple months ago in July, would result in axing this rural health care fund, which, by the way, was only put into this bill because they cut other health care provisions elsewhere. So it's a bit disingenuous, but not totally disingenuous, but the basic case here, Katie, the basic point to understand is Democrats want to undo Trump's signature legislation. You could argue about the popularity of it. It's not very popular right now. There's no question about that. And they also want to extend these Obamacare enhanced subsidies that Congress put in place during COVID in exchange for their votes on a government funding bill. And I don't see either of those things happening. And what Trump is trying to do, and OMB and Russ Vought, and by the way, take note here, Russ Vought has been in and around the budget process for a very, very long time. He knows what buttons to push, what levers to pull to make it painful. They are trying to make it incredibly uncomfortable for House and Senate Democrats because government workers have already had an incredibly difficult couple years under the Trump administration.
But why do the Republicans, and why does Russ Vought, why does the president believe that another round of mass firing won't backfire on them?
They might, and this might have an adverse effect, will likely have a downstream impact and adverse effects on the economy. And the most interesting thing, Katie, in that memo, what OMB said is not only do we want you to cut in case of a shutdown, but also we want you to right-size agencies to better align with Trump's priorities. So they are taking this as an opportunity to better align, in their estimation, the federal government with the president's priorities. And that's not commonplace for a shutdown. You don't really see the party in power, the president's power, use a shutdown not only to their political advantage, if they can, but to their substantive, in their view, advantage. And I think that's just a preview of how Trump is going to handle this shutdown when it comes to pass next week.
All right, Jake Sherman. Ryan Nobles puts it at an 80% likelihood of a shutdown. Where are you at? Higher?
Higher. Even if they had a deal today, Katie, they're not even here. Even if they had a deal today, I don't think they can get it passed by Wednesday. So almost, I would say 98, 99%.
I look forward to Brendan Buck texting us and giving us his percentage,
He's
which
wrong.
I'm sure will be.
He's too tall to be right.
Jake Sherman, you and I are not too tall to be right. Thank you so much for joining us.